The cliffs at Black's Beach are sandstone, and they're constantly crumbling. We've had a couple of landslides in the last couple of years, so it's always something that's in the back of your head as a rescuer going over.
In May 2012, a 52-year-old woman was flying above Torrey Pines when she lost control of her paraglider. Lifeguards responded quickly, but it was too late. She became the third person to lose her life here in the last 20 years. No stranger to this type of emergency, Sergeant Mike Cranston is on patrol when he hears a similar call. Sergeant Cranston arrives on scene and faces several challenges: finding the victim, determining his injuries, and then extricating him. Although they found the victim, getting to him is no easy task.
He's some distance away from our rescuer down there who can see him.
The victim has fallen in an inaccessible section of the cliff. Lifeguards begin rigging the main line, while the rescuer loads an emergency trauma pack in case the paraglider needs immediate medical attention. Lifeguard Rob Eichelberger will be the rescuer lowered down the steep cliff's edge.
The cliffs at Black's Beach are sandstone, and they're constantly crumbling. We've had a couple of landslides in the last couple of years, so it's always something that's in the back of your head as a rescuer going over.
Lifeguard Eichelberger has descended over 200 feet. Lifeguards on the beach guide him to the victim.
Dispatch update, rescuers at the victim.
Longtime paraglider Bob Hammond witnessed the crash firsthand.
As soon as I saw him, I said to myself, what is he doing? He was launching from that flag right there, which is exactly where you don't want to be. The front of the glider folded like that, and he just kind of went down and out of sight. When I saw him go down, I figured it was pretty serious.
Because it's late in the day, we're very aware of the light that we're losing and the possibility that this could go into darkness.
Paul, slowly. He's got some vertical, so nice and slow.
He's about 10 feet to the vertical.
Anxious to get to level ground, he's not out of danger just yet.
Slowly.
Tethered to the guards, the victim ascends the cliff face, carefully guided along the way.
Falling slowly.
The challenges of getting the victim back up the cliff are making sure the victim has what we call 2 points of attachment, one in the safety line and one in the main line, and then just kind of guiding them up the cliff.
Luckily, in this case, the person wasn't injured. An injury response on the side of a cliff is a lot more complicated. It involves a helicopter, us going over the edge with backboards and stretchers. We could tell he was walking, we just couldn't tell if there was any injuries we didn't know about.
Stop. Release slowly.
I don't want to say this was an easy cliff rescue because none of them are easy and they all have a high element of danger and risk. However, this one went about as straightforward as it could have gone. This is kind of what we train for.
Patients up top.
No problem.
I fly a little bit, all of a sudden it starts spinning. And I said, okay, that's it. I lose all control. Lifeguard with the help whenever this happens. If they're not there, maybe I climb and just sleep and fall. I don't know.
"90 miles south at Sunset Cliffs, a 27-year-old man has shattered his ankle jumping off the rocks.
It's a beautiful spot, but the beach here is very remote. There's not a whole lot of access to it except one steep trail that people use a rope to get up and down.
The victim is at the south end of Garbage Beach. The best way off this stretch of sand is a steep trail 200 yards to the north. Not only will lifeguards need to transport him to the access point, they will also need to get the victim up the 100-foot cliff.
So we're going to go ahead and utilize the litter wheel, put the stretcher on top of the litter wheel, and walk the patient to the base of the cliff.
Paramedics and lifeguard Ryan Graves package the patient for transport.
Head's going to go that way. You put your left foot inside. There you go.
Due to the condition of his ankle, the medics must first administer morphine to ease the intense pain. The victim arrives at the foot of the cliff's access point, but he is not out of danger yet. The vertical haul could injure his leg further if not done with care.
Okay, ready to haul. All the way.
Hauling slowly. Haul slowly.
I became the rescuer at the feet just to get up to the first flat section. And then Lance Mendoza and I took the patient the rest of the way up.
How you guys having? No problem.
Okay, we're stopping, taking a bite.
Keep going.
Once the man is brought to the top, paramedics transport him to a waiting ambulance.
All right, good luck, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
On a ledge, there was a male who was laying on the rocks. He had been extricated from the water already. I determined that he's conscious and breathing, and then I try to get a quick background as to what happened and what his primary injuries were.
Jet 1 arrives to back up Stevens.
Copy, this is Rescue West from dispatch 2. A 16-year-old patient is down just above the jumping spot on a shelf here at Osprey. He's oriented ×3, neck and back pain, and he's having difficulty breathing.
This patient could have significant neck or back injury, and any slight movement could possibly cause further damage to their spinal cord.
Neck hurt? If you feel like you can do that, and once you pull up, down.
So until we have the patient completely packaged in the C-collar and mobilized to the backboard, we take great caution not to move the patient any more than we have to.
Paramedics quickly take over care, evaluating the injured team. Lifeguards have set up safety ropes to prevent rescuers from falling.
It was a very difficult area to access. Trying to extract them around slippery rocks and up basically a 10-foot ledge could be very difficult.
From there, we have to think about, okay, well, how are we going to extricate? And so the option that was decided was to call a helicopter and do an air evacuation via the helicopter, which is a bit tricky.
Helicopter pilot Eric Connell and medic Chris Sauve are at Montgomery Field when they receive the call. The fire rescue helicopter surveys the scene and consults with Buchanan before deciding on an approach from the south.
We're going to need them to do some crowd control. We're going to need everybody away from the cliff.
Paramedic Chris Sauve will be descending to the rocks.
So once we started to make our approach and I left the aft cabin of the helicopter, I don't have voice communication with anybody in the helicopter any longer. So everything is done off of hand signals. So I'm looking for obstacles in my way of the approach as we fly in. And the first signal I'm going to give is when I'm 10 feet off of perceived obstacle or the ground. And in this case, it was the first cliff edge with lifeguards and their rope systems before we got to the other side where the victim was. So I gave Captain O'Malley the 10-foot off signal when I was there. And as soon as we clear them, I give them the down signal, and we go down from there to the water's edge. Once I touched down on the ground and secured myself to the safety, I had to do a quick survey just to investigate for any other injuries.
Okay, 16-year-old male, about 150 pounds. We'll need about 5 minutes for packaging.
The 16-year-old boy is still having difficulty breathing. And while his neck and back are now immobilized, there is still life-threatening danger. The victim must be moved from his position and secured inside a Bauman bag. Transferring the patient quickly and safely is imperative.
We take extra measures to make sure the patient is stabilized, his neck, his spine, everything is in line to prevent any further injury, making sure we keep the patient secure all the way up to the helicopter.
The victim is stabilized on a backboard, but the extent of his injuries is unknown. He needs higher level care quickly. Lifting the patient to the helicopter requires a high hover, an essential but risky maneuver. "100 feet in the air, Chris Sauve continues to calm the nervous patient. Any sudden movement now could cause the two men to spin uncontrollably.
With somebody with a spinal injury, we try and make that transition as smooth as possible and prevent any jarring of the patient. Our helicopters have the hoist mounted on the outside of the aircraft, which creates a little bit of a tricky situation once we pull on some straps to bring the patient into the aircraft.
Go doors closed once we get them back in so we can increase our airspeed.
Lifeguard dispatch copies. Patient extricated, transporting UCSD via Copter 1.
I think that was a good role for the helicopter, and because of the training we've done with them, we know what to expect, and then we know what they need from us, and they know what we're going to be asking them to do. So it's good teamwork, lots of training, and we'll continue to train because you need to keep the stuff sharp.
Lifeguard Travis Gleason is the first sergeant on scene.
The patient's at the bottom, down the beach. Medics are down assessing what level of extrication we need to do. At this time, we'll be setting up a system anticipating a haul, and I'll be establishing Ladera Command.
Sergeant Rick Strobel and other fire department personnel arrive at Sunset Cliffs and quickly gear up for a rescue.
I just need somebody to be edge pro.
I can do that.
The victim's medical condition requires a cliff rescue extraction. Incident Commander Gleason calls for action.
I just got word from medics down below that it's a female and we'll need to do a litter all the way to the top.
Mike Gilmore is the first lifeguard to reach the victim.
Generally speaking, we all know because we worked here a while, anybody sick down on the beach isn't going to be able to walk up on their own. So we just started preparing for a cliff call.
The 23-year-old woman reveals to Gilmore that she's afraid of heights. With dusk rapidly approaching, lifeguards must act quickly to get her off the beach.
You guys ready to haul? Yeah, we're ready. Stand by.
The victim has no serious trauma, and her fear of heights is complicating the difficult extraction.
She was really uncomfortable. She doesn't like heights, so she kept wanting to take all the lines off.
I want to go.
And we kept trying to help her be calm. She kept fighting, and I told her, the only way you're going to get out of here is to be carried out. So just bear with us, and we'll get you out of here.
Tension on the leg. Touch it slowly. Take a new bite. You're fine, Katie. You're fine. Okay, slow, stop.
Hey guys, thanks for the hauling effort, sir.
Okay, guys, thank you so much.
The young woman is taken to the ambulance, where her vital signs are checked.
Do you have any medical history, anything like that?
We got her to the top, and now she's over with paramedics being evaluated, and it was a good rescue.